Yo, what's good, Abe? How you living?
Hey Ollie, it's good to see you. How's everything?
Great to see you. Look, I'm good. I'm fantastic. The weather outside is nice. Um, yeah, look, my mood is really regulated by the weather, is what I'm learning as I age. And so whenever the weather outside is nice, I'm like, it's a good day. What about you?
That's awesome. I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy also. I mean, I'm spending my day inside, but I don't mind that. Getting a lot done. It's good.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't say that Carlton is someone whose mood is regulated by the weather, right? That would not be accurate.
I honestly don't know what his mood is regulated by, if I'm being honest with you, but that would be accurate. Yes.
It's interesting to see a much darker side of him in season two because I think in season one we did see a lot of jealousy with Will and some panic attacks, but season two sort of takes him down a much more isolated roads with a lot of really, really high highs and a lot of really low lows.
Yeah. I
What has
mean,
it been
yeah.
like to explore that? Yeah.
Wha- Look, I think what's great about, when a show matures to a certain point is I feel like season one was all about establishing these characters and establishing the relationships with each other, right? And now in season two, you're right. He's kind of now we're getting to look at who Carlton is without the context of Will, and we're seeing everything. We're seeing the skeletons in his closet. We're seeing the darker sides of his mental health journey, and it's been really rewarding to film, right? Just because I know that what we're doing matters. I know that what we're doing is going to have an important social social impact. But it also gets tough at times. I'm not going to lie. Carlton takes me down uh, some pretty dark places in order to get there. But when I'm shooting, I have to do a lot more self care. Is the best way I can put it.
DSU stuff has also been very interesting to watch this season and the way that, he has Carlton has projected a certain image previously and that was rewarded, but now he's especially when it comes to protests and dealing with the administration, it's interesting to see him sort of not know exactly where he fits. And I think that's something that feels very relevant to society today with a lot of performative action happening across the country.
I wow, I really, really, really love that connection. I actually, I'm not gonna lie, this is my first time even really thinking of it in the performative action sort of way. Look, I think the brilliance of a lot of our show, and Carlton specifically, right, is that you're introduced to this character that not a lot of people like. You don't really like him off the bat. He comes off as, a certain type of way, whatever. But then as the show goes on, the audience gets the chance to see themselves in him more and more, right? And so they resonate with him. And I think that, even in the context of the BSU, at the end of the day, everyone knows the feeling of trying to fit in, right? At the end of episode 7, he has this incredible speech where he's like, you know, I know that everyone has laughed a little too hard at a joke when they probably shouldn't have. I know that, we've all allowed something to happen when we should have said stop. But like, I know I'm not the only one that's done that. I'm just the only one you see. And putting that in the context of how he's trying to fit in and find his way at school, I think that right there is a message that just everyone, viewers, even me as I'm working on the script, we feel that.
I don't think he means things to be performative. I think he believes he's doing something, but by going in with a goal that he knows he can achieve, he's not actually creating change. He's just getting to a place that people were ready to meet him, and that's a very interesting sort of delicate balance to watch.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a balance that I think, unfortunately, a lot of Black kids at these predominantly white institutions have to, they have to figure out, they have to walk that tightrope of it's so important that I go along with what the institution requires, but also how do I do that while still not sacrificing my own, personal personal and cultural needs. It's very difficult to navigate.
Absolutely. And I did like seeing a somewhat lighter side in a sense with the family reunion episode. There was definitely still pain and competition to be found there, but it was nice to see that Carlton was able to see outside of himself and realize what he could do. that I'm sure that episode was a lot of fun, just having so many guest stars and people in your, main set.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was that episode was an absolute journey because yeah, I think that's the most amount of people that we've actually just had in an episode. Everything from the background actors for the extended family to Little Bellamy and all our immediate. It was that was a very fun episode to film, and you're right. I, finding that lightness, finding that levity finding those moments of levity in the show have been such a treat. I think the writers, and they haven't told me this, but this is me just, a peep game. I think the writers have made it a challenge of theirs this year to find, what are the ways we can keep the show serious, but also just continue it being fun, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to watch something that's a little fun, right? So I think we found those moments of lightness and fun in the season.
We last spoke, I think it was last June. I was just rewatching our interview just to remember some things. You were talking about how you were rewatching the original series and noticing all of the connections. I haven't done that in a while, so I don't remember the whole extended Bakes family. I certainly don't remember Carlton, doing drugs in that original show. Do you feel like we're really diverging a lot from what things were before?
That's interesting that you say that because Carlton does in the original overdose on speed in that one episode. It's cool because in a way, I think our show has reached this point now where it is carving its own identity. And yes, the basic premise is the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air hour-long drama. But since we're putting it in today's context, there's so much more that we can put in. There's so many more stories that we can tell that we're kind of going off to the races. We're forming our own identity. But at the same time, it's now interesting to find how the writers are doing that um, while still keeping in touch with our heart center, right? Still keeping in touch with the original heartbeat of the show. Stuff like having Tatiana Ali, in the show mentoring young Ashley. Stuff like, this one was the tiniest of Easter eggs, but in I think it's episode 7. It's either episode 7 or episode 8. Will is wearing these flower boxers, and that was such an intentional choice because if you saw on Carla Banks Waddles, our showrunner's Twitter, that was a reference to I don't remember what exactly the context of the episode is, but Will Smith, the original Will Smith, he's in this like flower costume. So it's looking at the little fun ways we can make those Easter eggs while still maintaining our own identity. It's been a fun challenge and a fun ride.
Yeah, and I feel like we do get to see Carlton a lot with Will and with his parents. We don't see as much of Carlton with his siblings. Is that something that you think will be explored more in the future?
You want to know what's so funny? You're very good at interviewing. I don't know if I said this before. You're incredible at this.
You.
You ask questions I've never been asked before. So in all of last season, there's only one scene with Carlton and his siblings, and where no one else is in, and it's in the pilot, right? It's in the pilot. It's when Carlton first meets Will, and then they go into the back and they go into the game room, and it's just Carlton and Ashley and Hillary, and they just hang out. And I love to see that dynamic. And we haven't seen it since. And I can't say anything more to that. I can't say anything more to that other than, I think it's indicative of something larger. I hope that's not spoiling anything. That probably isn't. Also, it's not going to matter. Y'all aren't going to see anything this season anyway. But what I can say is it is indicative of something larger. Yes.
Interesting and a lot to think about. And you were somewhat coy last time about whether you had any news of a season 3. I don't know if you knew then or not, but I think it's great that the show is getting a chance to continue. I'm not going to ask you to tell me anything, but do you know where season 3 is headed, and have you already started working on that?
We haven't started working on it yet, but I do know exactly where I know. Well, actually, no, everyone does know because if I'm correct, this interview will be airing after the finale, correct?
It will, yes.
So then that means that the fans all know that season 3 is happening during summer. With that incredible ending with, the yes. So we know season 3 is happening in the summer. And so I think that tells you that you know, the Bankses are going to go on a few adventures. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where Carlton goes on his recovery journey and how, you know, summer factors into that. I know some stuff that may or may not happen. I do.
Are there any other actors in the cast that you would love the chance to work with more that just haven't interacted with Carlton in that much?
I want, I do. I want more scenes with Coco. Again, we talked about this just a few minutes ago, and you know, the lack of it's indicative. But I want more scenes with Jazz. Oh my goodness, I want more scenes with Jordan. I want so many more scenes with Jordan because the few times we have these little pockets of scenes, I think they're always not only super fun to work on, but it's always really great to see that dynamic between Carlton and Jazz.
Awesome. Well, I hope we get a chance to talk again when you can say more about season three. But it was a pleasure to speak with you again, Holly.
Of course, absolute pleasure. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much.